The taxi hummed, a low, throaty purr against the backdrop of Parisian traffic. Claire leaned against me, her head resting on my shoulder, a contented sigh escaping her lips. The warm, late September air, thick with the scent of roasted chestnuts and the Seine, enveloped us. It should have been a perfect ending to a perfect day, a perfect weekend. Instead, a knot of unease tightened in my stomach, a cold, unwelcome guest in the warmth of the moment. We had arrived in Paris on a Friday evening, a surprise I'd meticulously planned for Claire. 6 months, that's all it had taken. 6 months to know, with a certainty that settled deep in my bones, that she was the one. The one who made me laugh until my sides ached, the one who saw the world with a blend of cynicism and unwavering hope, the one who made even the mundane feel extraordinary. The flight from JFK had been smooth, the anticipation building with every mile. Paris, the city of love, the perfect backdrop for my grand romantic gesture. I'd booked a boutique hotel just a few blocks from the Eiffel Tower, a place with charm and character, not some sterile corporate behemoth. The hotel lived up to its promise. Our room, 330, was a haven of soft colors and elegant furnishings. A bouquet of roses, their fragrance delicate and intoxicating, sat on the bed. A card, addressed to Jake and Claire, simply read, "Welcome." I'd assumed it was a hotel gesture, a nice touch, but the confusion started later. That evening, after a leisurely stroll along the Seine, we returned to our room to find a box of chocolates, exquisitely packaged, resting on the soft covers. "Oh, Jake," Claire had exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "You shouldn't have." I'd smiled, playing along, basking in her delight. But a tiny seed of doubt had been planted. The chocolates were far too luxurious for a standard hotel amenity. The next morning, while Claire finished her breakfast, I approached the reception desk. "Thank you for the flowers and chocolates," I said to the young man behind the counter. "It's a lovely thought, but I'd like to know if I'll be billed for them at the end of our stay." He looked at me, a flicker of confusion in his eyes. "Flowers? Chocolates? I'm sorry, sir. I'm not aware of any gifts being sent to your room." My heart skipped a beat. "Room 330, I clarified. Roses and a box of chocolates." He tapped on his keyboard, his brow furrowed. "No, sir. There's no record of any such items being charged to your room." I thanked him, a polite smile plastered on my face, but the unease had intensified. Had I been mistaken? Had I somehow forgotten ordering them? Not possible. We spent the day exploring the city, losing ourselves in the labyrinthine streets of the Marais, admiring the grandeur of Notre Dame, and soaking in the vibrant atmosphere of the Latin Quarter. But the mystery of the gifts lingered in the back of my mind, a persistent, nagging question mark. That evening, as we returned to the hotel, the receptionist handed me a bottle of champagne. "A gift for you, room 330, he said, his tone neutral. Now, I was starting to panic. Champagne? This was getting ridiculous and expensive. Claire was beaming, convinced that I was the mastermind behind these romantic gestures. I couldn't bring myself to shatter her illusion. The next day, our last full day in Paris, we decided to visit a small, well-known cafe overlooking the Seine, north of the city. We had no fixed itinerary, no reservations. It was a spontaneous decision. We strolled along the riverbank, stopping at quaint boutiques and art galleries, enjoying the unhurried pace of Parisian life. The cafe, with its charming terrace and panoramic views, was the perfect setting for our final Parisian meal. We ordered 3 courses, savoring the flavors of French cuisine, the conversation flowing effortlessly between us. It was a perfect moment, a snapshot of happiness. Then came the bill. I waved down the server, a young woman with a warm smile and a captivating accent. "The bill, please," I said. She smiled, her eyes twinkling. "No, sir. Your bill has been taken care of." My jaw dropped. Taken care of? By whom? She shrugged, a gesture that conveyed both nonchalance and genuine ignorance. I'm not sure, sir. It was paid in cash. I insisted on speaking to the manager, who confirmed the server's account. The bill had been paid, in cash, by an anonymous benefactor. He had no idea who it was. The taxi ride back to the hotel was silent, the unspoken questions hanging heavy in the air. Finally, I broke the silence. "Claire, I need to tell you something." I confessed everything. The flowers, the chocolates, the champagne, the mysterious payment at the cafe. "I didn't order any of it," I said, my voice laced with frustration and confusion. "I have no idea who's doing this." Claire's initial reaction was disbelief, followed by a mixture of amusement and bewilderment. "But who would do that?" she asked, her brow furrowed. "And how would they know where we were going?" We spent the rest of the evening trying to unravel the mystery, but we were no closer to an answer. The hotel staff remained tight-lipped, claiming they had no information. The next morning, our last day, we packed our bags and headed down to reception to settle our bill. "Room 330, I said to the receptionist. "We're checking out." He tapped on his keyboard, his eyes widening slightly. "Sir, there's no account. Your balance is 0. It was settled last night." I insisted on leaving our contact details just in case there had been a mistake. I didn't want to be flagged as a bill dodger at Charles de Gaulle. The flight home was filled with speculation and unanswered questions. We told our families about our strange Parisian adventure, hoping someone might have an explanation. But no one admitted to being the secret benefactor. No one offered a clue. 10 years have passed since that weekend. Claire and I are married now, with a beautiful little girl. We've built a life together, a life filled with love, laughter, and the occasional mystery. The Paris enigma, however, remains unsolved. We've considered every possibility, from a well-meaning friend to a case of mistaken identity. But nothing quite fits. Sometimes, late at night when the house is quiet and the world is asleep, I find myself thinking about that weekend. The flowers, the chocolates, the champagne, the anonymous payment. Was it a random act of kindness? A carefully orchestrated prank? Or something else entirely? Perhaps it was a guardian angel, a benevolent spirit watching over us, ensuring that our Parisian adventure was truly unforgettable. Or maybe, just maybe, it was a reminder that the world is full of surprises, that magic can still exist in the most unexpected places. We've learned to live with the mystery, to accept that some questions may never be answered. It's become a part of our story, a quirky anecdote we share with friends, a reminder of the strange and wonderful things that can happen when you least expect them. The mystery has added a layer of intrigue to our relationship, a shared secret that binds us together. It's a reminder that life is full of the unknown, and that sometimes the most beautiful moments are the ones we can't explain. And who knows? Maybe one day the truth will reveal itself. Maybe the secret benefactor will step forward, or a forgotten clue will surface. Until then, we'll continue to cherish the memories of our magical, mysterious weekend in Paris. A weekend that proved that love, like the city itself, is full of surprises.
The cobblestones of Rue des Rosiers were slick with a light drizzle reflecting the warm glow of the patisserie windows. My suitcase, a clunky, overstuffed thing, bumped along behind me as I navigated the narrow Parisian street. I was exhausted, a cocktail of jet lag and the nervous energy of my first solo work trip. Paris, a city I'd dreamed of, now a reality, albeit a slightly damp one. My Airbnb was a charming apartment tucked into a small cul-de-sac with wrought iron balconies and faded pastel shutters. I'd chosen it for its proximity to my conference venue and, let's be honest, for the promise of a quintessentially Parisian experience. Inside, the apartment was exactly as advertised. A cozy living room with mismatched but comfortable furniture, a small kitchenette, and a bedroom tucked away at the back. I brewed a strong coffee, the aroma filling the room, and sank into the plush sofa, finally allowing myself to relax. The rain pattered against the window, a soothing rhythm. I watched the gray clouds drift overhead, thinking about the conference and the presentations I had to give. Then a flicker of movement caught my eye. A sleek, black cat strolled purposefully across the small front garden, its tail held high, and disappeared behind the low hedge leading to the front door. Curiosity and my innate love for all things feline got the better of me. I'm a sucker for a cat. I opened the door, and there it was, sitting patiently on the porch, its emerald eyes fixed on me. It was a beautiful creature with a glossy coat and an air of quiet confidence. "Hello, little one," I murmured, crouching down. The cat didn't flinch, just stared at me with an almost unnerving intensity. Then, with a graceful leap, it brushed past me and hopped onto the sofa, settling into the very spot I had just vacated. I was taken aback, but not in a bad way. It was as if it owned the place. "Well, aren't you bold?" I chuckled, reaching out to stroke its soft fur. The cat purred, a deep, rumbling sound that filled the room. The rest of the evening was spent in the company of my unexpected guest. It followed me around the apartment, rubbing against my legs, and settled on my lap as I worked on my presentation. I named it Midnight because, well, it was black and the sun was rapidly setting. When it was time for bed, I gently ushered Midnight out the front door, feeling a pang of guilt as I closed it behind me. I knew it was probably someone's pet, and I didn't want to keep it away from its home. The next morning, I woke to the sound of a soft scratching at the door. Midnight was back, waiting patiently on the porch. I let it in, and it immediately resumed its position on the sofa, as if it had never left. This became our routine. Every morning, Midnight would appear at the door, and every evening I would reluctantly send it on its way. It was a strange, comforting presence, a silent companion in a foreign city. The conference was a whirlwind of presentations, networking, and late-night prep sessions. But no matter how busy I was, I always looked forward to returning to the apartment and finding Midnight waiting for me. On my final day in Paris, I packed my suitcase, a little sad to be leaving. I brewed one last cup of coffee and sat on the sofa, stroking Midnight's soft fur. It purred contentedly, its eyes half closed. "I'm going to miss you, little one," I whispered. "I hope your owners aren't too worried about you." As I prepared to leave, I decided to write a quick note for the Airbnb owners. I didn't want them to think I was irresponsible for letting a stray cat into their property. I grabbed a notepad and pen and scribbled a short message. "Dear owners, thank you for the lovely apartment. I had a wonderful stay. I hope you don't mind that I allowed your neighbor's cat to come inside. It seemed very determined to visit. In all fairness, I didn't really have a choice. That cat was strong-willed. Sincerely, Carla." I left the note on the kitchen counter, grabbed my suitcase, and headed out the door. Midnight was nowhere to be seen, probably off on another adventure. The flight home was long and uneventful. I spent the next few days catching up on work and settling back into my routine. Paris seemed like a distant dream, a fleeting moment of magic. Then, one evening, I received an email from the Airbnb owners. My heart skipped a beat. Had I done something wrong? I opened the email and my eyes widened in disbelief. "Dear Carla, thank you for your kind note and for choosing our apartment for your stay in Paris. We are delighted to hear that you enjoyed your time in our little corner of the city. We were particularly intrigued by your mention of a cat. We don't have any pets ourselves, and our neighbors don't own a cat either. However, your description of a sleek black cat reminded us of someone very special. Lucy. Lucy was our beloved cat who passed away several years ago. She was a very friendly and independent cat, known for visiting all the houses on the street. Even after she passed away, there have been numerous reports from guests and neighbors of seeing a black cat, especially those who she took a liking to. We believe that you may have encountered Lucy. She always had a knack for finding people who needed a little company. We hope you have a wonderful day. Sincerely, Xavier and Martine. I reread the email, my hands trembling. Lucy, a ghost cat, a cat who visited those she liked. I thought back to Midnight's intense gaze, its quiet confidence, its comforting presence. It wasn't just a stray cat, it was Lucy, returning to offer comfort and companionship to a lonely traveler. A shiver ran down my spine, but it wasn't a shiver of fear. It was a shiver of wonder, of awe. I had been visited by a ghost cat, a guardian angel in feline form. I thought about how Midnight had appeared just when I needed a friend, a comforting presence in a strange city. It was as if it knew I was feeling overwhelmed and alone. I remembered the deep purrs, the soft fur, the gentle rubs against my legs. It wasn't just a cat, it was a connection, a reminder that even in the most unfamiliar places, there is always something magical waiting to be discovered. I smiled, a warm feeling spreading through my chest. Lucy, the ghost cat of Rue des Rosiers, had left a lasting impression, a reminder that the world is full of mysteries and wonders. And sometimes those wonders come in the form of a sleek, black cat with emerald eyes and a heart of gold.